This is the final step in the basic PlayZapp integration tutorial. In this, we'll see like how to communicate scores between two players, and as well like we'll handle the win and loss commands being sent from the server. I have opened the main scene now, and I'm going to add the PlayZapp gameplay prefab into the scene. And I'm opening the editor, and all the callbacks from PlayZapp are actually handled in the PlayZapp event handler.cs file. So I'm going to add like what should happen once the matchmaking has been done by PlayZapp. So we need to, once the matchmaking is done, we need to load the gameplay scene now. Load the gameplay level once the matchmaking is done. Application dot load level. Load level 1 is nothing but done underscore main. That's a scene which we are loading once the matchmaking has happened. Next we need to add like what should happen. What should happen to the input? Like currently, if you look at it in the player control, we have the the spacebar is used to fire. Instead, we need to handle using touches. So when you touch, automatically the bullet should be fired. I'm reusing the same code whatever that's being used for the PC version, except I'm changing the input alone from spacebar to mouse button 1 to this. And next is like I have to modify the input mechanics for the spaceship movement itself, like x and y axis will be taken using the accelerometer for the Android platform. Input is taken from the accelerometer, acceleration.x, acceleration.y. The amount of acceleration that is taken from the thing is not sufficient, so I'm taking this like 1.5 times instead of like just leaving it. So the input for Android is actually done now. This is accelerometer. To move the spaceship in both the axes. Next I'm checking now. Next I'm gonna create the canvas. Already have canvas created, all the UI elements created for the demo. So canvas main, which I'm dragging from the prefabs. So I have to create the canvas because so that I get the event system. So I created it, and after that I deleted the canvas. Now we have to add all the link all the UI elements, whatever that is part of the prefab. The first thing is the player names. I have to use Unity engine.ui to get the text. Data type, player name, public text, opponent name, next is the scores for both the players and the opponent, which is on the top of this HUD. Next, yeah, you can see that. So this is the old one, whatever that is part of that came along with the assets when we downloaded from the asset store. So I deleted it. So now I am associating back all those objects, game objects what I created. The timer text will come back later. So next is need to set the names and set the names of both the player and the opponent. So we can get the player name and the opponent name from PlayZapp menu. PlayZapp menu has a player details object. It's actually a structure which will have player name, player profile pic URL, number of coins, number of tickets he has, all the stuff. So I'm using that. PlayZapp menu.instance.get player details will get you the player object, and the PlayZapp name is nothing but the player's name which is used to set the profile. Name can be from different sources. If he has signed in through Facebook, the name has been automatically taken, and that could have been the Facebook name. Or if he had signed with Google, then that's a Google sign-in name. Get opponent details dot PlayZapp name. Okay, now we have the player name and the opponent name being set. So next comes the profile pics of both the player and the opponent. Profile pic prefab has both a profile pic and as well as the statuses of both the players. Status is nothing but we have two different textures. One is green for online and the other one is the red as offline status. So let's create relevant objects so that we can actually map it onto the editor. Player status indicator. Opponent status indicator. we need to load those green and red texture from the resource folder. So I'm declaring a private texture 2D online and offline textures. So I'm gonna load it equals resource dot dot load texture name. I have to take it exactly from the resources folder. This resources folder comes along with when you download the PlayZapp Unity plugin, the Unity package. I'm just copying the name. Status green. Associating with online texture. Resources dot load load. So it's going to be status underscore red. This is so I'm going to create a function called update player details. Which will just update, it will set the player name, set the player profile pic, update setting the opponent details as well. Setting the player profile pic. I'm going to write a coroutine to load the www URL. Like I said, we'll have all the details about a player on the PlayZapp menus get player details object. We'll have the player profile pic, which doesn't have the protocol, the file protocol. File protocol we are using since player's profile anyway, it will be stored on the local device. So instead of using HTTP, we are using a file protocol because it is already residing on your the player's device, which can be retrieved. I'm setting that texture once it's loaded. Send message load player profile pic URL. So similarly, I'm gonna create another method to load opponent profile pic. But opponent's profile pic may not always exist on the player's device, and since it's not local, because sometimes he might be the player's friend. If he is his player's friend, then he might be the profile pic of the opponent might be in the local device, but during quick play you will be matched with somebody unknown person whose profile pic will not be available on the local device. Hence what we have to do is, like, we have to check whether this whatever the URL being returned, the yield returns, is null. If it's null, then we have to actually go for a profile pic from the server. So even the URL for that is available on the get opponent details object. So I'm trying to load it from the local using the local file URL protocol. I'm going to check the string is null or empty. If it's an error, then I'm going to call I'm calling another coroutine. Load opponent profile pic server URL. I'll have this method as server URL. This is going to be opponent texture, opponent pic.texture, yeah. And you don't need the protocol. We don't have to write it, since get opponent details dot profile pic server URL will have the protocol already inbuilt in it. Whatever you get, the string will have the protocol already embedded in it, so we don't have to write it. Hence that. I have to call this thing. So if the profile pic is not available locally, then it will go and fetch it from the server. Nothing. It will actually work only for Android, because it's all like file protocol and these protocols, because all these the profile pic URL construction happens on the PlayZapp plugin. So anyway, those things will not be available. Okay. So I think I have missed the casting of texture 2D. So let's add it. Texture 2D. Yeah. I think they should fix the error. Yeah, good. Set player profile pic. Set opponent profile pic. So once the game starts, automatically it will set the all those details will be available on PlayZapp menu. So all those things will be automatically set now once the game starts. So let's associate a player profile pic, opponent profile pic, and status indicator. We need to update the status indicator. Set player status indicator. Player status indicator dot texture equal to online texture. Okay, instead of writing two methods, let's do it as single based on the boolean, like whether based on his online status we can actually set online or offline. So if online is online texture, else player status, okay, player status indicator offline texture. Let's do the same thing for opponent also. Set the opponent status online/offline, green/red. Player. So the PlayZapp event handler, all the callbacks will be received here. So even the player connection status will be received here from the server. So once the player connection is lost, let's change the status. Okay, before that we have to make this as public. Okay, done. Game control is not accessible, so let's make this as a static class so that it's accessible from outside. Void awake instance equals this. Let's go there. Done game control dot instance dot set. Okay, it's not public yet, so let's change it to public. play public. Yeah, let's go back. Set player status indicator as false. Set opponent status indicator. So once the player connects back, we'll change him to true. Likewise, opponent connected back, then we'll change it to true. Let's associate the status indicators in the editor. Let's remove unnecessary stuff, whatever that came along with it. Game over. Let's find score text first. So I'm going to use the method as it is. Instead, I'm going to use my own player score text. We don't need the label to be there. Yeah. I'm going to remove this variable. So it's all gone now. So next is like restart text. We don't need restart. So let's remove it. So our game is going to be like a time-based game. There is no death in this case, and restart. So it's a 2-minute game where both the players will play against each other, and whoever has the maximum score wins the game. Let's remove game over. So have to cast it to a string. I think I missed a score. Yeah, score to string. So this is done now. So now we have to actually send the score to the opponent. So PlayZapp gameplay offers a method to send a API call to send score to the opponents, which is PlayZapp gameplay.instance.send score, which takes an int. We are gonna just pass on the score as it is. Likewise, we need to update the opponent's score, which we receive it through PlayZapp gameplay. Opponent score text.text equals sc.toString. Update opponent score text. Now let's call this method from there so that we pass on the received score to the appropriate score text. Done game controller dot instance dot update. Okay, we need to make it public. Let's check. Oh, okay, need to make the opponent score public, not the player score method. Update opponent score. Yeah. So received score is a callback from PlayZapp server. So once it receives the opponent score, automatically it's being pushed to the opponent. So now both the clients will have player and as well as opponent score simultaneously updating each other. So let's check multiplayer. You'll get question marks for, like I said, you'll get question marks on the player and opponent profile pics because those URLs doesn't exist anyway. So this is the location where game gets actually, once the player is being destroyed, it actually gets over. So instead of making the game over, we should actually remove this and destroy the object which is actually hitting the player, which is the asteroid or the enemy ship or whatever. Destroy game object and return. Enemies colliding with player. Which should continue to play instead of the spaceship getting vanished. Yeah. It worked. You can see the scores are being updated once I hit the asteroids. So let's add a penalty if you hit an asteroid. Sorry, if you actually collide with an asteroid or any other enemy types or enemy ship. Game controller dot. So I have to write a method for like add score. I have to detect score as well. So I'm writing a method for detecting the score. So let's call it detect score int penalty. Penalty. We have to actually add a check so that it doesn't go in negative. So if score is less than 0, make score equals 0. Update score. Yeah. Score going to less than 0. Yeah. Now let's go and game controller detect score. I'm setting a value of 30 points being detected for every hit being taken by the player spaceship. Let's check again. Multiplayer. Yeah, it's getting detected. Good. I'm getting some exceptions. Okay, the tags are missing, so I have to add a new tag which is enemy, which is actually missing in this. So I'm adding a tag. I'm gonna call it as enemy. I think when you import the code assets from it, it won't get the settings of the editor. So the tags are being part of the settings, which is actually missing. So I added them. I think this should solve it. Yeah, let's test again. Yes, it fixed it. Good. Yeah, it's actually working fine. No exceptions. Good. Next is let's add the timer in. We had already created the timer text UI. Now we have to write the script and associate the timer to tick. So let's create a script. Let's go to done script, right click, create C# script. We call it done_timer. Using Unity engine.ui. Let's create the text object timer text. Start time, private variable, GUI time equals 0. I'm gonna instantiate the variable start time with the current time. Start time equals to time dot int time dot time. Void on GUI. I'm gonna update the timer. First I'm gonna calculate timer is gonna be shown in the form of minutes and seconds, so I'm gonna calculate minutes and seconds separately, and I'm gonna print them in the time format. So GUI time equal to time dot time less time start time. By 60 seconds equals GUI time mod 60. String t equals format colon open braces 1.00 comma min comma seconds. Timer text equals t. Okay, timer is set. Now let's check. Okay, we have to associate. We forgot to do that. Let's associate the timer text. First drag and drop the script, and now drag the timer text UI. Yeah. Load the main menu, run it, and multiplayer. Okay, there is some exception. Input string was not found in a correct format. As far as I know, it's right. Maybe let us check. I'm sure about this format. Okay, let's rewrite it. 0 colon 1 colon last time I made a mistake, 1.00 it was, yeah. Let's test. This should have fixed it, yeah. Yeah, it got fixed. Now it's working. Let's start the timer if the game is really started and the game is actually running, it's not ended. So let's add in those checks. If PlayZapp gameplay.instance is game started and PlayZapp gameplay.instance we don't have a status of is running, so we'll use like not PlayZapp gameplay.instance of is game ended. That's equivalent to the game is running, so it's the same. Yeah, so now it will get started only, the timer will start only when the game actually started, and is game started will get set made true once the server sends start game command for both the clients. Multiplayer. So let's work on the win and lose conditions. So this is the last one thing to be handled by the developers, and the PlayZapp server will intimate both the clients who has won and who has lost. So the PlayZapp event handler will receive a callback. So we have to write like what should happen if the player has won or if he has lost. So we'll write that. So once you receive win, we are going to unload the current level and we are going to update the leaderboard. So let's do it. Application dot unload level 1 or done underscore main. Even if you lose, like, we are going to unload the level. And for the winner, we are going to update the leaderboard. So let's update the leaderboard. Update the leaderboard. So PlayZapp menu dot instance dot update leaderboard data, and it takes like 2 parameters. So the first parameter is nothing but the nothing but the leaderboard parameter. It can be win, it can be score, it can be anything which is being set in the PlayZapp developer portal by the developer itself, and it has its own or you can set up whether it has to be sorted by ascending, whether it's accumulated data, or whether it's going to be time based. So all those things you can set. So since currently it's being set to win, so I'm gonna update by 1 win. Okay. So since we have actually unloaded the level, once the gameplay is done, once the winner has been announced, both the players, both the clients will receive the win screen, win screen or lose screen. Okay. So in which you have 2 buttons. Either you can go back to your friends list, or you can actually go back to the main menu. Okay, so if we select go to main menu, what should happen? We have to write. So I'm gonna write like application.load level 0, which will load the main menu scene. We forgot to do something like once the game is started, what we should do? We should actually currently all the enemies are being spawned even before the start game is being sent from the server. So automatically all the enemies starts being generated, and it will not be a synchronous gameplay. So what we should do is like we should spawn the enemies once you receive the start games command from the server. So this start game is a callback received from the server, PlayZapp server. So I'm gonna move that start coroutine outside from the start game. Public void spawn enemies. I'm gonna paste that into this. I'm going to call the spawn enemies in the start game. Spawn enemies. PlayZapp done game controller instance dot spawn enemies. One more thing is like PlayZapp offers you a random seed which is being generated from the server and it's being sent to both the clients. So let's set that so that both the clients will encounter the similar type of enemies simultaneously. So let's do that. Set the random seed. Unity engine dot random dot seed equals PlayZapp menu dot instance dot get random seed. Yeah. Let's play multiplayer. And now errors. Next we have to one more thing left out is like we have to how we are going to handle somebody quitting voluntarily. So you can't just during a multiplayer match you can't just quit. If you quit, you have to actually inform the server that you are quitting, which the server actually in turn informs the opponent. So let's handle that as well. Is a play.instance dot leave room and quit. This automatically handles the leave room functionality of the player. If input dot get key code dot escape we don't need restart, so I removed it. So I'm gonna write similar thing for the Windows platform as well. Runtime dot Windows editor So if it's Windows, I'm gonna load the main menu. Application dot load level 0. Just writing a debug to know whether it's being called. So let's test. Multiplayer. With that, we are actually close to the end of the basic tutorial of PlayZapp integration. Yeah, it worked. When I press back, escape, it automatically came back to the main menu. Now let's make an Android build and deploy it on 2 different devices. After that, let's log into PlayZapp on both the devices, and on PlayZapp multiplayer screens, let's hit quick play, and we'll see like both the players being matched together, and after that the gameplay starts, and now you can see both the players being able to exchange the scores between each other, and after 2 minutes the player who had actually scored the maximum score will be declared as the winner, and the other person will be seeing the lose screen. With that, we have completed the basic integration of PlayZapp into an Unity sample game.